You ticked all the boxes. You ticked all the boxes. Degree, job, LinkedIn updates. But inside, everything felt uncertain. Who am I, really? You wonder to yourself. Who am I, really? You wonder to yourself every day. In your 20s, in your quote-unquote adulthood, the pressure to have it all figured out clashes with the truth that we don't. How do we find ourselves when everyone, including ourselves, expect us to have all the answers? We are joined by Jayde van Staden, CASA, MCom in Financial Reporting Analysis and Governance, FRAG, and Senior Lecturer at the Institute of Accounting Sciences. We chat about how she navigated the soul-searching journey of her 20s and came out with a new, invigorated sense of purpose and passion. We also chat about her experience teaching in Thailand, how she navigated her own path to discover the CA journey, the default disposition of no in the world, how your mindset shapes the world around you, the power of the law of attraction, and more. I hope you enjoy. My travelers on the road to CASA. Guys, there is a sister in longevity, a sister in our mantra, our slogan, our mission, in the form of our guest who's coming up. Jayde has actually started a TikTok, and I even saw like the profile. It said it will not end. It will begin in CASA. Please check out her TikTok. It's so fire. It's for anyone who's doing APC or studying for IAC or PGDAS, PGDA. Anyone who's basically chowing at the highest level. But I'm sure you can get some incredibly valuable insights from there if you're in first year, second year, third year. Check that out. It'll be linked in the show notes. And enjoy the episode. Welcome back, my people. This is the Road to CA podcast, the show for aspiring chartered accountants to inspire, empower, and inform the difference makers of tomorrow. Oh, today, guys, we're joined by a multi-potentialite. Yes, it's a real word. I promise you, like you can go Google it, and it means that this person in front of us has a wide range of interests and passions, which we will definitely be getting into today. She, like many other guests on the show as well, has, and I quote, had not the typical CA story, which is, that's the interesting story. Hailing from Gqeberha and currently braving the streets of the mother city. She's doing her third year in articles, holding a MCom in Financial Reporting and Governance. Well, I'd like to chat about that as well. And she's a senior accountant at KPMG Cape Town. She's also passed both her boards and so should be signing off as a CASA soon. Most importantly, she likes promenade runs in her spare time and is hoping to run a half marathon. I can't wait to see that. Above all, she just is an ordinary girl trying to do extraordinary things, trying to inspire others to tap into that part of themselves too. We're joined by the girl with the big heart. We're joined by Jayde van Staden. Jayde, how are you?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for that incredible introduction. It is an honor to be a guest on this podcast, and I'm looking really forward to inspiring and informing the difference makers of the future.
And I love, you know what? I feel like the only reason why you just said that again is because I've sort of made it an important duty of mine to bring those words to life. I don't just say inspire, empower, and inform. I think, and it's actually funny, I didn't used to introduce guests and introduce the show like that. It actually, for the first 10 episodes, I kind of just went with a so-so introduction. But I realized that what we do in analyzing stories like yours is we are inspiring, we are empowering, and we are informing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And the thing is, my thing is, if I even touch one life, it's enough. If I even make a difference in one person's life, like that's enough for me. Obviously, I would like to make a difference in, potentially millions of lives. At the moment, I think I'm sitting in like the hundreds potentially, based on my WhatsApp group. But my thing is, if I'm inspiring at least one person, that person is going to go out and inspire another. And it's going to sort of create this chain reaction of inspiration. And for me, that's the most important thing.
We underestimate the domino effect because I think as human beings, it's not within our natural nature to look beyond our immediate surroundings. It's why we go for the short-term gain as opposed to the long-term gain, which I think is like a lot of where our problems lie in like the country. It's just a bunch of people who don't consider the long-term over the short-term.
That is very, very true. We tend to get really stuck in what's going on right now, and we almost become all consumed by it because right now it's really hard and I don't have the time and I don't have the energy and I don't feel like I'm doing well. What am I doing here? I'm questioning everything, but we don't really sit back and think about, what is this going to do for me in the long term? How much is it actually going to give me if I literally just persist? And, hindsight, they say, is the best teacher. So now looking back, being at the end of the journey pretty much, I look back and I think to myself, I'm so glad I didn't give up when I was in PGDA, because there were probably like 2 or 3 times where I thought, I emailed the CEO and I said, listen, I don't think I'm cut out for this. I might just drop out, or maybe I'll just extend by 6 months. What do you think? In hindsight, I'm really glad I didn't do that. I'm really glad I didn't give up when I wrote ITC. I'm really glad that I didn't give up when I was prepping for APC, although APC was a really good experience for me. So that one I didn't really feel like I wanted to give up. But there were multiple points along the journey, especially when you're doing articles as well, and you think, this is so hard, the job is so challenging, there's a lot of pressure on me, maybe I'm not cut out for this. And in hindsight, now I'm really glad that I persisted through all of that. In the moment, it's really hard. In the moment, I'm crying out of frustration because what am I trying to do here? But now at the end of it, it's not going to end in CASA, it's going to begin with CASA.
That's the show, and that's why you're on here, Jade. You're on here because of those words.
100%. And I'm hoping that more people will just sort of realize that. And that's what I've really been trying to incorporate this year, specifically with my PGDA students, is that conquering PGDA, it's a mountain. It is this massive monster that you have to slay. If you are religious, it's David standing in front of Goliath. So it's this massive feat that you are trying to conquer, and it seems really overwhelming and really hard. And there are many points where you get to and you think, maybe I'm not cut out for this, but it's literally just one step at a time, one task at a time. 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 week at a time. Rather than thinking about the mountain that you have to conquer, you think about the step that you have to take that's going to move you forward. So that's the best way to get through this journey, is to not think about, when you start first year, I've got 7 years. I promise you, 7 years goes by like that. I mean, just the other day, I was 22 years old enrolling for first year, and now I'm 29 years old at the end of my 3rd year of articles. So it really goes...
Jade, you're lying. You're lying. You're lying.
You know what? I'll take it. Every person bordering on 30 wants that compliment, and I will take it. So it goes so quickly, and it's literally just about putting one foot in front of the other rather than thinking about how much time you still have to go or, I need to pass PGA at the end of the year. Just focus on the tutorial exercise that's right in front of you. That one
Hey.
step, each of those steps compounded is going to propel you forward to where you want to be.
Literally, I have a tutorial that I have to do after this finally, and like, yeah, taking it one step at a time. Before we start taking the next step, let's go back. Rewind. Jayde, you've already sort of littered the space with these little clues, like, oh, she joined first year at 22. I joined first year at 19. Like, goodness gracious, there's so many things that show this colorful journey. Let's go back, Jayde. Where did this whole CA thing start for you? Because I know it goes in this meandering way to that year.
So let's put it this way.
Okay.
I never in my schooling career ever thought I would be a chartered accountant. I dropped EMS as soon as I got to grade 10. I said to myself, I will never take accounting. What a boring subject. That's not for me. I'm going to be a doctor. I took physical science and life science, and then I had to make up for another subject, so I took economics.
You.
And I thought, I'm going to be a doctor. So I applied at the university on the mountain here in Cape Town. And to my dismay, I did not get accepted. And I did not have a backup plan because I was deputy head girl and involved in all of the societies and top 5 academically for like 3 years running. You know, I thought it was a sure thing. But nothing in life is guaranteed, and you are also not entitled to anything, no matter how fantastic you might be. That's unfortunately the unfairness of life. But it's also life's way of showing you that maybe that's not your path. So that's the mindset I've taken on in recent years. You know, we all end up where we're supposed to be. So anyway, I tried mechatronics because I really wanted to get into the medical field. And a friend of mine said, you know, you can try go like biomedical engineering route. And if you don't like it, you can probably change when you're in the university because it's much easier once you're in, then you can change. So I thought, okay, obviously NMU, because I'm from Kaberga, NMU doesn't have a medical, or they didn't have a medical program back then, all the way in 2014. And I tried mechatronics for a year and a half. My brain is not wired that way.
Sure.
And eventually I thought, no, I can't keep doing this. I was crying every day because I just couldn't understand the work because I'm not mechanically minded. So I decided to change to biochemistry because I thought, oh, that's cool. Like I took physics and chemistry in high school, you know, here we go. I can put this to good use. And then I got 6 months in and I thought to myself, do I really see myself being in a lab all day? I think I'm quite a social creature. I like interacting with people. I don't like the idea of being in cold because labs obviously have to be temperature regulated for the specimens and whatever. I don't really know if this is for me. What am I doing? I'm wasting time. At this stage, we're now in 2016. And my grandparents, they had always paid for my studies, but in 2015, they both got really sick. They both got dementia, and their estate got taken over by a curator. And the curator basically said to me, you either stick with this degree or you find your own way to pay for it because we are not going to fund an alternative route. So I made the hard decision and I thought I don't want to be unhappy for the rest of my life. So I dropped out of university. And I went and worked at a call center teaching English online for a few months. And then I thought to myself, why am I doing this online when I could just go to a different country and do this and have a much more fulfilling experience? So off I went to Thailand to go and find myself. And when I came back, surprise, surprise, I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So here we're sitting end of 2017. And in my head, I'm like, Jayde, you have to do something. Just study something to get a degree behind your name. You've saved up some money from your teaching. You can fund your first year of university. You can secure a bursary after that, or even a partial bursary. Just do something, please. You are 22. And then I started dating this guy, and this is, I always believe people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and he definitely crossed my path for a reason. And he said to me, Jayde, why don't you consider accounting? And I looked at him and I was like, accounting? I didn't even do accounting in school. Why would I go and study it? And he said, well, you want to do a degree that's going to open doors, and this is a really good degree for that purpose. And you don't have to have done accounting to get into BCom accounting at university level. You just need a decent maths mark. Okay, cool. Well, I'll give it a bash for a year. Let me see if I like it. And I've got a history of changing degrees, so I'm not feeling very confident in myself. So I stuck it out for a year. I liked it. I was really good at it. And here we are, 7 years later. So, yeah, a bit of a winding road.
You know what I love about it? I think, which is something I guess I'm a believer of, but it's a very contextual thing. I think you have to have a lot within you that's pushing you, but you never really bent to conformities. You didn't do it because someone else wanted. I mean, you literally had the choice of going the biochem route or going your own way, and you literally chose the scary one of finding that job, making a plan, and doing it on your terms,
I do like to look at it that way, because at the end of the day, it's my life and I have to be happy with the choices that I've made. I can't do something, and I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with. They get pressure from their family to go and pursue a really difficult degree like accounting or law or medicine, because at the end of the day, there's an expectation from their family that they have to get this really high performing, high earning job. So I was lucky that I didn't have that. So I can imagine in that situation, it's even harder to follow your own path when you've got that sort of pressure on you from a familial perspective. But for me, I just thought, like, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the curator or my mom or my grandparents that are waking up every day to go to a job that they hate. Like, that's my decision, and I'm going to make the decision to do something that actually ignites a passion within me, that I'm hungry for, that challenges me, that doesn't feel like a job. Because you know what they say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And obviously, not every day is going to be great. That would just be unrealistic. There are days where you think to yourself, oh, this is really hard and I don't really have the energy. And that's just part and parcel of any experience in life. But at the end of the day, you have to be happy with the decision that you make, because you are the person who has to show up every day for yourself.
It gets into this idea. I think it was Mark Manson. He's an author. He wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, but I don't speak on the podcast. He said, pick your torture. That's what you have to do. Because I think, as you mentioned, like, everything has its downsides, and I wouldn't even call them downsides. I would just say everything has its friction. Because if everything was easy in life, then anything would be possible and the world would be full of nothing. Because I think there's a default disposition of no that exists in the world, in the universe. So, I mean, if you go and you try sell something to someone, do you know what's likely to be the answer? No. If you go and, for an example, like, let's say a guy is trying to get a girlfriend and he's approaching women, what is the default disposition of the woman? Like, rest in B face when they're going, they're walking like this, like they've got some problem. That's because they have to say no, otherwise everything and anything goes, and that's chaos. So in that sense, we need to pick our torture. That's the way of the world. And if accounting, the thing about accounting is, I think when you look beyond, when you think of it not ending but beginning in CASA, I think you start to understand that although it sounds tough, even this 3 to 4 years, maybe even the 7, but I think articles at the very least, I think, should be a time where you find the right cultural fit, which is, it's within your power. But I think, even think of this 4 years as a little bit of torture for something that's worth it. Because like for me, for an example, although I excelled in school so that I could get here, I've deduced and I've realized I'm not an academic. I'm not like, I could maybe be successful in it, but I don't think that's where my heart lies. It doesn't lie in academia, in, studying. Like, for me, studying is really tough. It's really, really tough. But I know that this is the torture that I've picked because it's worth the outcomes that I see. So it's like you've always got that dichotomy between, the reward and the torture. You have to. In fact, it's not a dichotomy. It's actually a duality. They both exist, and they're two sides of the same coin. I wanted to actually ask, where does your confidence come from? Because to choose your own way requires a self-belief. It requires a confidence. Where does it come from for you?
That's a really good question. I would say I'm the type of person, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm incredibly straightforward. I'm an open book. And because I wear my heart on my sleeve, I tend to follow my heart. So, that also makes me a hopeless romantic, unfortunately. But I believe in following my heart because it will tell me what feels right and what doesn't. And that seems to have worked out quite well for me because, naturally, anything that you do in life, there's going to be some sort of doubt. You're never going to be absolutely 100% confident in something. But if the overarching feeling that's sitting in your heart or that's sitting in your gut just doesn't feel right, then maybe it's something that's not for you. And I've always sort of used that to navigate me. And I think another thing that's made me really confident is, I didn't really have an easy life. I had a tough childhood, and instead of seeing that as a weakness, I see it as a strength because there's so many parts of me that maybe wouldn't have existed if my life was smooth sailing and, just sunshine and rainbows. So I think that's another thing is the mindset perspective and just believing that, for me, I'm spiritual. I'm not really religious. I'm more spiritual. So I refer to the universe. And I feel like the universe is always looking out for me. And the mindset that you adopt is what you will continue to attract more of. So if you keep seeing yourself as a victim, then more things are going to keep happening to you that are going to make you feel like a victim because you're projecting that energy outwards. And, that's science. Energy is never created or destroyed. It's just transformed from one form to another. So what I do is I choose to see even the most heartbreaking, devastating things in my life that happened to me. I don't choose to see it as a why me, but rather something that's going to be instrumental in making me who I am and getting me to the destination that I'm meant to be at. So I think that mindset of, good things are always happening to me. I'm favored by the universe. That mindset just keeps attracting lots of good things rather than the converse of that, which is just being a victim and thinking, why me, poor me? Because then you just keep attracting those bad things.
The law of attraction comes to mind. And I
Yes.
also do believe it in a lot of ways. I do believe it in a lot of ways. And it's not all woo woo. I actually even want to chat a bit about this. But the thought that came to mind when you said that was this quote from Tony Robbins. He says, nothing happens to you, everything happens for you. And that's the outlook that you've adopted. It's because although something in the micro may be negative, in the medium to macro, you'll find that, hindsight is 2020.
Mhm.
It
And
actually
that's
worked out for you.
exactly. And, when I was in university, I berated myself. Oh, Jade, look at you. You're 22. Everybody else is turning 19. Like, you probably the oldest person in the class, like just looking around, you know. Why didn't you get your life together after matric? Like, why did you waste so much time? You were supposed to be the girl that was going to go out and achieve it all. And here you are at 22, you've got nothing to show for it. You're in first year. Like, it's actually a joke, So I berated myself for it for a long time. Especially when I would see people who were my age and they were qualifying as a CA, and here I was sitting in third year.
Sure.
So then it really became real, like, oh, that could have been you. But now I look back and I think I was meant to sort of mess around for 3 or 4 years. I kind of needed that because there are so many things that wouldn't have happened if I had just had it all figured out straight after school. I would probably never have studied at IAS, Institute of Accounting Sciences, which is where I did PGDA. And now I do a lot of work with them as well. So that opportunity would never have come about if I had just known what to study straight out of school. I probably would have still been living in Gqeberha. I would never have moved to Cape Town because it would have been nice and comfortable and easygoing to just stay there in GQ. So there's so many things that happened. And now the biggest one of all, I've been accepted to go to KPMG Canada for 4 months next year, which is amazing. And let's even take it as far as that to say I would maybe never have had this opportunity if I had everything figured out after school. So the timing of my life worked out exactly as it was meant to, and may have not even started journey to CASA if I'd had everything figured out after school. So I'm grateful for the time that I spent, and I might berate myself for it, or I might have berated myself for it, but when people hear my story, they're like, wow, you've got so much life experience. You've traveled, and that's so cool. And, so people look up to that, whereas I beat myself down for that, and it's exactly what you said. Your life works out for you. Things don't happen to you. They happen for you. And you only really realize that when you look back, and then you become a lot more grateful.
Yeah, man. Like, you can only say it looking back. The journey to CA, you mentioned journey to CA. You sprinkled a lot of stuff. Journey to CA, what is it? And what are your plans for it?
Okay, so journey to CASA was